everyone, welcome to the Field Between. I'm Ahmed.
I'm Yasmin. I'm looking for my item.
Field between what, I guess you may ask, is right and wrong, life and death, gay or straight.
That was pretty good.
What else? Binary, non-binary.
Mm-hmm. Cold and warm.
Did you find your item?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How have we been?
Really good. How are you?
I'm doing decently.
Uh-huh. Oh my god, okay, don't do that. You're just like kicking the equipment.
I had a...
Okay, don't touch
I'm
it.
just
You're messing the
moving
dials.
it.
You're messing with the dials.
Oh my gosh.
Just get away from it. Okay.
I had a long work week, and then I had to work for a couple hours today, so that basically my regular work rhythm was interrupted.
You messed up the dials. You got to speak into your microphone. I will.
Yeah, no, I'm doing well. I had a long work week. I had some extra stuff on my plate that I don't in my typical work week. And so I had to work a little bit today to catch up so that this week is like a regular week. And just do some grading today. But I met up with a friend, so that was nice. It didn't feel like that much work. Other than that, I think we're doing pretty well. How are you? Yeah, what else is new with us? I can't really think of anything, honestly. It's very cold and snowy here. Mm-hmm. We went for a really nice walk by the water. And it was frozen in parts and looked very cool.
You gotta stop waving the microphone around. You just keep it right in front of your mouth. Yeah, like that.
Okay. How are you?
The ice. You like the ice? So
yeah,
you can
the
talk
ice
about the river.
The ice was cool.
You just want people to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw some rocks into it.
Yeah, you were really excited by that.
Yeah.
In most cases, it just bounced off.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It just stuck in there.
Right, it didn't shatter until the end when you found a weaker spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much ice.
Yeah, it would be cool to see it completely frozen over, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Apparently, it's only 8 feet tall at any given part. It's not a very deep river.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Both of them?
I don't know if it's both of them.
Oh. That's cool.
Mm.
I would have thought it would be more than that.
Me too.
That's kind of disappointing.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's more likely that it'll freeze then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. What else?
I'm reading a book of essays by Adrian Rich.
Mm-hmm.
I have a particular chapter was recommended to me by a friend for an article that I'm working on. But I ended up reading more of it, and I'm now finishing the book because it was just so lovely. I can't believe that I hadn't read her earlier. I'd heard of her, and I knew that she was an important American poet, but I've never read any of her work. And now after reading her essays, I really want to read some of her poetry because she just is got a lovely voice.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, how about you? You're also working on a lot of things.
Am I? Not really.
You were painting. You've got a plan of painting. You are working on your apron. You have an idea for a screenplay. You have several projects that you're thinking about right now. You've been working on some music stuff.
Yeah, but I haven't really made headway into any of them.
But because there's so many. But you have a little bit. Your apron is almost done. And it's really pretty.
Yeah.
You're feeling a little down today.
Yeah. Well, I just called my brother because it was his birthday. He has the same birthday as my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And we forgot to call them on their birthdays.
We're a day off.
It just totally... Yeah, I feel bad.
I feel bad too. I put it in my my phone so we won't miss it again.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more update. We found a good biscuit place here.
Oh yeah, that was really nice.
I think it was as good as biscuits in North Carolina, which was good.
Yeah, anyone can make a biscuit.
We have different thoughts on this. I feel like there's more good biscuits in the South than there are elsewhere, but this was as good as anywhere for sure.
There are just more biscuit places.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how much I identify with North Carolina. Like now when I meet people from there, I get really excited.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be only like New York for me.
Really?
Yeah. I check the weather app there all the time.
Mm-hmm. The weather there is definitely warmer.
Yeah, obviously, for sure.
Yeah.
My office is fully set up and it's really cozy to work there now, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can stop spending crazy amounts of money on it because I did too much of that. But it does not feel nice to be comfortable there now.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about a really fucked up New York Times article about Israel and the IDF. But before we get into that, I think we've got some more lighthearted items coming from you, right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I've got two things. Okay. I'm just charging my phone.
I have one more update while you're looking for that.
Okay.
I've discovered that I have some gray eyebrow hairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really sad about it. I'm going to try dyeing my eyebrows. I don't mind like gray hairs in my head, but eyebrows are just too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got...
but you said you can't notice them, right?
No, I haven't noticed your eyebrow hairs.
That's good.
They look good. Oh, I'm launching some apparel, some merch stuff soon, so just keep an eye out for that.
And you're also... I think it's okay to say that you're thinking about starting a Substack, which I think would be really great for the Caravan Star project.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually one of your projects that I'm the most excited about. That and the screenplay I think I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start with some random shit.
Okay.
What is this?
I never graduated school, never made it past the 5th grade. I do mathematical equations and the quadruples of algebra without even doing it on paper. You ask me mathematical question, I bet you I can tell it to you right off the bat. Dimensions, diagrams, other, astrology, mathematical dimensions.
Did you send this to your friend who's a math professor?
12 times 12. 12 times 12 is 91.
No, it's 144, right?
What is it?
12 times 12 is 144.
Nice.
The only reason why I know my multiplication tables is because my mom made me memorize them. Thank goodness, because my school did not do that.
Yeah. I have thoughts on that, but here we go. This is the rest of it.
9,967, 909,968. It's 21,792.
It's closer.
91. But 12 times 12 is 24. Right?
I think he's joking. He's got to obviously know this is not a...
28. I speak 8 languages. I know algebra 1, 2, and 3. I never...
Aww. It feels... I hope
Is that mean?
I feel like it is.
I mean, he's telling us he's a math genius.
Yeah. I think he knows that I think he obviously isn't on it because...
You think this is a joke?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It seems like some of the guys you run into in New York who are just like...
What?
This is like a New York type of guy.
What are you talking about?
Just like this is a New York guy.
How? Why?
I just feel like you see people in New York like this all the time.
Because he's a bullshitter or what?
Yeah.
Like, what's the connection?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's particularly New York, but...
You don't think so?
No.
It's a bullshit city. Okay. What is this?
I've got a tweet for you.
Okay.
This is by someone called See Me. Their handle is See Me with a little dinosaur. And it says, why do Muslim couples act like creating a TikTok account together after getting married is the 6th pillar of Islam? I thought that was good since we...
Muslim couples do?
I don't know, but we have a podcast, so I thought that was a good call out.
TikTok.
No, but we have like a thing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't do like Dawa stuff on it, you know?
No, I don't think she's saying that either.
Oh.
Yeah, I think she's just saying Muslim couples creating like social media together.
Interesting.
I always wanted to film a TikTok reel with you, even though I don't have a TikTok. Well, you didn't hear what it is.
I know what it is.
What is
What
it?
you're gonna say.
What?
I know what you're gonna do, like the outfit changes
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Or you get ready for Eid. You told me that you would.
I never said I would.
Yeah.
No, I've remained steadfast.
Wait, why don't you like that idea?
I just don't want to do a TikTok thing.
It doesn't have to be a TikTok. It could be an Instagram reel. You just jump and then you're wearing the clothes.
Okay.
But I don't get why you're like so adamantly against it.
It's just not gonna. I don't see it in the cards for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. don't have to feel so strongly about it. But
All right. I've got two somewhat related items.
mm-hmm.
This one is from the subreddit Marriage.
Okay.
I'm on unpaid maternity leave. My husband still expects me to pay half the rent. Is this fair? And they are seeking advice. My husband earns 4 times more than me. Should be more than I. Parentheses, I earn $68,000 and he earns $280,000. Our rent is $2,600 a month. We've been splitting rent 50-50 since we've moved in together before we got married. The arrangement did not change after we got married, and now we have a baby with me having 0 income, so I'm relying on my personal savings. I say personal because we don't have a joint account. We are currently looking for a house, and I'm also expected to contribute for the deposit, 75% of my total savings. Is this fair? What's the best way to approach this?
I think we read this before.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds very familiar.
No, this is just a few things to highlight. Utility bills used to be split 50-50, but since I stopped working, he pays for them. Since there's no joint account and he doesn't give me any allowance for baby stuff, I end up buying most of them. Baby's only 4 months old and breastfed exclusively. He pays for most of the grocery bills and dine out. If I go by myself, I have to pay, so I try not to. He funds our overseas travel once a year to visit his family. We don't have any loan or debt.
I think I've seen like stuff similar to this before
Really?
on like a Reddit, like am I the asshole kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's awful. That's so ridiculous.
What do you think this person should do?
Leave their partner 100%.
Leave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that they didn't like realize earlier and that they've got a kid now. That's rough.
Yeah.
But leave and then you'll get court ordered support for the kid. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my advice as well. Isn't that crazy? The reason I brought this up, obviously this is like an extreme case, it seems like, but the whole 50-50 once you move in thing is kind of silly.
I don't know if I would go that
especially
far.
when you're married.
Yeah.
I think it's silly. I think it's stupid.
I personally know like people that we love and respect who choose to keep their own finances and keep them separate. So I think that if you come from like a...
I know. I think it's wrong.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm just saying I think it works fine for some people, especially if you're not planning on having kids. I think it's a little bit different. Yeah, it wouldn't work for us personally, but to each their own. But I think once kids are involved, I mean, you pretty much just want to like put a lot of your resources towards the kids, I'd assume.
It's just an inefficient way to manage money.
I mean, there will people who will say like Islamically,
because you're
like,
managing 2 budgets instead of one.
Yeah, there will people who say like, oh, like it depends. Like if only one partner works outside of the home and the other partner's primary contribution to the home is like doing domestic work, and like if they only work a little bit and they want to keep that money just for their spending money, there's lots of different ways it can work. I don't know. Yeah. But I know at least one couple who plans on not combining finances, and they both are comfortable with that. So
that's fine that people are comfortable with the arrangement. I'm just saying my feeling is that once you move in, the move should just be
I would say not
to
once you
combine
move in.
stuff.
I think it's once you're engaged or married, because I think I personally just believe really strongly, like I was raised to be, and part of this is obviously like financial privilege, so I don't want to make it sound like a normative moral statement, but I was definitely raised like to be like, oh, like provide for yourself, like don't like, yeah. I think that it can be kind of
okay, well, what about like the household stuff though? I just feel like you shouldn't do a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Like you should, even if you don't join your accounts, I'm not saying that, but like
Yeah.
you still need to look at all the money coming into the house as like one thing, because
yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it makes sense to split the household costs.
I think you're right. I think you should.
Hold on. I don't think it makes
sorry.
sense to split the household costs as like 50-50, because, you know, unless you're like making the exact same amount, then it's just going to come out to 50-50 anyway. But I think if one person's paying more, then they just need to pay a higher
maybe you
percentage
can
of
just
those
calculate it
costs.
and pay proportional to what your incomes are.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But I think it's kind of a dangerous path for a lot of people to combine finances or to rely on someone financially before marriage, because you can get stuck in situations where then you are financially reliant on that person. You don't really learn how to manage your money. I just think it's like best to avoid that if possible, and like have roommates and not move in until you can like afford your own life. But that, I mean, again, that I guess everyone's individual circumstances are different, so it really depends. But like, I feel like that's the advice I would give like a daughter or a son. Yeah.
I agree. I think this person should leave.
Yeah, that's
and
sad.
take the money by force.
Yeah, basically through court force.
Okay, this next thing is something I saw on Twitter earlier today, and I need to navigate to it. It is something that I think is in the realm of like this self-help men stuff, in a subcategory that I guess is called dark psychology.
Okay. Yikes, doesn't sound good. Sounds manipulative.
Which is, yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like a man using psychology to dark purposes, but
like when you neg somebody.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just negging. But there's like this long ass, and I wouldn't have brought it up, but it's a tweet saying destroy, in all caps, her ego.
Oh my God.
And it's a thread on dark psychology that got retweeted quite a bit, and it's from an account that has like 125,000 followers, called Dark Psychology Dating Master.
Oh dear.
So this is a thread on how to use dark psychology. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do not compliment her looks. Leave her to wonder why everyone sees her as a big deal and you don't. Don't be the regular guy who goes around simping. Only compliment her when she does something and does it right. What are your thoughts on that?
If I like go 4 days without being complimented, I feel really sad.
You go crazy.
Yeah. So I don't think it works.
But
I just
do you feel like I'm using dark psychology on you?
No, I think that you just are like forgetting and I have to remind you.
Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't make me like, I just ask for it. Like it doesn't make me like quiet or complacent.
You don't start wondering. You're like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, it's not me. So what's going on with you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I love compliments. They're my love language. I love words of affirmation. And physical touches are my two favorite.
Yeah. Okay, second tip.
Mm-hmm.
Do not seek her validation. Seeking approval from a woman is the number one way to inflate her ego to the moon. Leave craving for approval to women.
If you like this, I wonder, like, what do you get out of being in a relationship? Like, if you don't want to validate or be validated, then, like, what are you guys doing? You just, like, laying there next to each other, like, hey, like, I don't know, like, even, like, sexually, like, what, like, I don't really get what's happening if you're not doing those things.
I think you just get, like, she's kind of like a fleshlight, essentially, that just kind of
that doesn't sound very, like, hot. It sounds depressing. Okay.
I don't know.
Continue.
I'm not a dark psychology expert. A dark psychiatrist. Never ask for commitment. This is a pull away move, and it is mental. That's how it works. Know how to act in speech, over the phone, or face to face. Don't let your actions speak volume of what you want with her. So just like,
I mean, this just sounds like casual dating.
Is this kind of the experience?
I mean, yeah, you don't. I mean, no. Of course, you compliment and are complimented, but like, just not asking for commitment. If you don't want commitment, then yeah, don't ask for it.
Okay.
But if you don't ask for commitment, then she's also going to see other people. So I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want that,
but you're not supposed to let her know what you want,
then she's just not going to end up with you.
Actually, this is interesting because it's not about your want. It's not about like you mastering your desires to say, I don't need this woman. It's just hiding what you want. So you still get to be like inwardly like very jealous or like, you know,
sad,
territorial.
Yeah, but then you don't express it.
But you just don't express it. That's the idea.
No, I feel like the implication is like, oh, if you don't say that you want to be with her, then she'll want to be with you. But I don't think that's true. I think she'll just assume that you don't want to be with her. Like when I date, if you date people and they don't like say, yeah, if they don't make moves like that, you kind of just move on, you know? Yeah.
Prioritize your goals above her. You must miss out on a date with her occasionally. This will show her that she cannot distract you from your goals. This will bring her ego down and she will inherently respect you. This is what I do with the cat. Like whenever she asks for food.
You shouldn't say this because it makes you sound psychotic, but you're not psychotic. The cat is very well cared for.
But this is what I do with the cat.
I know.
I think actually this is perfect. I do dark psychology on the cat because I am constantly making sure to let her know that my priorities are ahead of her needs.
Except for when she like lays on top of your body and sleeps at night. But yeah.
But yeah, because she's been subjected to years and years of dark psychology.
You buy her like so much shit. You get her like fancy food. You get her like little cat beds.
I'm a provider, but
no, you guys just have a symbiotic relationship.
I don't feed her when she tells me to feed her.
It's the only thing you don't do.
I'm ready to feed her.
Yeah, I mean, this is bad advice, but I mean, honestly, I don't really get like this person doesn't have their own objectives, which is interesting. Like, I would guess that if you were supposed to be like, I don't know, a manosphere man, like, aren't you supposed to get what you want? Like, there's no way in which this person is like, they aren't even getting a chance to ask themselves what they want, which is interesting.
Yeah. Seems like maybe there are a few things that are outside of the scope of this post that need to happen for this to actually
work,
be deployed correctly, right? Like,
but I don't even know what correct is. Like, yeah,
there's a couple more. Okay, dress very nicely when you go out with her.
That's good advice.
The goal of this is to take the attention from her and give it to yourself. She's going to step up her game and compete with you.
What?
Yeah,
I like that you dress nicely just because I like looking at you, and I like that people like the way you dress. I don't really know what that has to do with you.
Compete with me?
No.
Oh.
Well, I mean, if we're like going...
Do you feel like the attention is taken away from you?
No.
Really?
But I do think actually, like, if I'm wearing something schleppy and you look nice, then it's not like I want to compete with you, but I'm like, oh, I should put better clothes on. I think it's more of like a...
So it works. This one works.
I think it's more of a good thing, though. It's like, oh, I gotta step my game up. It's dark psychology,
yeah.
Okay.
Look at other women. Yes. Take glances at other women.
That's awful.
It's already creates a notion in her mind.
That's
it
stupid.
is already creates a notion in her mind.
Great grammar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's mean.
That's mean?
Yeah.
To look at other women?
Yeah. Like in a way it's obvious, as if you're trying to like draw attention to it. That's weird.
Okay, what if it's just like a little glance? Like your eyes dart over.
It depends. Like the thing is, like we all look at things when we're walking around. I don't think it's bad to look at people.
What if the woman's doing something like exceptional?
Like she's just like stripping in the middle of the pizza place.
Naked, yeah.
I mean, that'd be hard not to look at. To be fair, that'd be pretty exceptional.
Am I allowed to look at a naked lady?
If someone strips in the middle of a pizza place, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's like a wild event. You gotta look.
What if your eyes bug out and you do like the Tex Avery, like auga, and then your tongue rolls out into a red carpet?
I mean, that's a little weird.
And then steam comes out of your ears. Is that bad?
I'd have a lot of medical questions.
Oh. Okay.
You tend to look at everything when you are sitting and working. Every person that walks by, you look up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get very distracted.
Yeah.
But I always have to be aware of my surroundings because I'm doing like kind of a visual assessment of any threats.
No, that's nice.
To make sure that you're safe.
I'm not aware of our surroundings. So that's good. Someone's doing
Especially if someone is naked.
Yeah, that could hurt our safety.
Never get jealous about other men around her. She's pretty and men are going to come around her. Anytime you show jealousy, it tells you are not confident and a better man can come and take her away.
I mean, I feel like there's like a shred of truth in that, which is like it's attractive to be like self-assured.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think jealousy is like a deal breaker, but yeah, you don't want to succumb to it.
But I feel like you don't want to show a sign of weakness.
I guess, but if you also are doing all this other stuff and then you don't even care if like people are hitting on her, then like, yeah, again, she's just eventually just going to go for somebody else.
Here's a good one. Never argue with her or get emotional. Anytime you get emotional, it shows her she has power and control over you. Don't argue with her. And if she's being unreasonable or disrespectful, take your leave.
Wow.
That's the advice that the imam at your friend's wedding gave.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? He was like, do not fight.
Go to the coffee shop.
Go hang out with your boys, essentially, is what he said.
Like a softer version of that, like allow each other space, which is very hard for me. Like that is not a bad thing, I guess. Like go upstairs and cool off. And sometimes then you do that and you actually don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
But to not show emotion at all, I actually get more upset when you don't show visible emotion. Like it makes me feel more frustrated because I feel like I'm like crazy or like it just is hard to like for me to work through something if I can't see the emotion on your face.
Yeah.
So I would say it gets me more annoyed, though I try not to take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is another instance in which I do dark psychology. Okay. A lot of these that's pretty good.
It's all right. It's like 1.5. I don't know what you're talking about.
3 more here.
Okay.
Never show your insecurity. Never ask a woman what she feels about you or ask for personal advice. You shouldn't give a fuck about what a woman thinks about you. She could easily sense insecurity from you if you seek validation from her.
Again, I just really don't know what you're getting out of a relationship. If you don't want this person's opinion, if you don't want to like be loved by them or like have any kind of form of affection, like what are you getting out of it? You might as well just be...
I'm seeing this as like what I get out of the relationship with the cat. And it's just kind of, you just get a cat.
You just get a cat?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this person just needs a cat.
Next one, be random. Keep her guessing and on her toes by being unpredictable.
What?
Plan surprise dates, show up unexpectedly.
I like that. I liked when you came to my office the other day.
Keep her
That
guessing.
was really cute.
By not following a routine, you'll keep her guessing and make her work harder to keep your attention.
This feels like an incredible amount of work to like just keep your life random for
this
like
kind of
one
reminds
person.
me of that Eric Adams clip where he's just like, just periodically go in and do a search.
I guess the one piece of good advice in that is to like mix it up a little bit, like try new things together, be intentional.
That one's not bad.
But like it's making it sound like an extreme that you just like don't have a job or you're like just like doing wild stuff with your life to try and keep her on her toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one is never be too quick to have sex. Even if you are there for the sex, never let her know that your real intention is you being thirsty and you just only want to get under her skirt. Make her feel that is the last thing you want to do with her.
Wait, I'm so confused. So wait, don't fuck her immediately?
I don't. It says never be too quick to have sex. You don't want to make her feel that is... you want to make her feel like that's the last thing you want to do with her.
I'm so confused. So wait, are you having sex quickly or no?
It says never be too quick.
Okay, what does that mean? Be quick?
Never be too quick.
I don't understand. Explain to me. It's saying don't have sex too quickly.
Yeah.
Why?
This is not...
But I just don't get how that fits with the rest of them. So what do you... So by not having sex, you what? You make her feel not desired?
I guess that's the point, yeah. Is like you don't want to...
That's so ironic because
So she's not really supposed to know what her value is with relation to you. Like, is she someone you desire sexually? Do you want her to, you don't want to validate her? So you're kind of just supposed to like float around this guy and not really know.
If someone acted like this around me, I would just assume that they were like an awkward, nice person who wanted to be my friend and was awkward.
Yeah.
And like random.
Yeah.
But that last piece is kind of confusing to me because I feel like it's kind of counter narrative to what I always thought alpha males wanted, which was like for women to feel like just sexual objects.
No. Like the new self-help type, like manosphere man is...
Don't have sex.
Sigmas, they have sex.
Probably not, but yeah, okay, continue.
The idea is that you're a guy who has sex, but
you're
not a guy who is... Yeah, you're in control of your sexual desire.
Interesting.
So
it's not
they're
driving
doing all
you.
this stuff like semen retention.
That's interesting because I guess that I sort of get it. Like the idea is that if you just like are so desperate for sex, then you would probably like listen to her.
Yeah,
and
it's like generally like you're railing against just like the parts of it. Again, like there's like some truth in it. It's like the pornographication of just like everything around you, and you're just like, oh, there's bad stuff here that is corrupting our desires. And you're supposed to kind of master that. But then they take it a couple steps too far where they become kind of volcels.
Yeah.
Or incels.
And here, I guess it depends on your intentions. Like if the idea is like not to have sex immediately, so you want to get to know this person.
Yeah.
Though I don't think those things are necessarily mutually exclusive.
Well, it doesn't
I think
really
that depends.
sound like they're interested in knowing.
But yeah, it doesn't sound like they're interested in knowing or being known.
Yeah.
So, all right. Wow, that was a journey. Should I be worried that this shit is getting recommended to you on Twitter?
Maybe.
Okay.
I was actually looking at an Andrew Tate thread because I was like, what's Tate been up to? Mm-hmm. With his university thing, but we should do another Manosphere episode.
Yeah.
We need some updates on
I don't know if I have it in me, but that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was a journey.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Should we talk about this article? Do we have any other items?
Yeah. No. But that's a good segue. Switching into going from alpha male stuff, which we talk about quite a bit. We even had a whole episode on what it's like to be an alpha male. We don't talk enough about what it's like to be a girl boss.
We don't.
And just general girl bossery.
Mm-hmm.
And the New York Times published a piece online and in print about the girl bosses who are doing genocide and ethnic cleansing in Gaza. And before I read the piece, I thought those things were bad, but now it's seems pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it was depressing as hell.
I'll
just read you the headline here. Israeli women fight on front line in Gaza first. So this is published in print or online January 19th, 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of summarizing the piece, they're talking to some captains and a couple soldiers from the IDF who are women, and it's talking about like the misogyny or like the discrimination against women within the IDF and how they're kind of overcoming that by carrying out genocide and ethnic cleansing. I cannot underscore that enough. But do you want to just like read through the piece a little bit and then talk about it?
Yeah, I have one other thought up front, which is like, I just like am against all military. I think it was somewhat similar when like Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed as unofficial policy, and it was like, well, you can be queer in the military. It's like, great, who gives a shit? Like,
the better, more liberatory thing would be to say no one should be in the military, not even queer people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we shouldn't have this big of a military.
There's like some forms of inclusion that we just don't need to be included in.
Like, it's like the whole more women in boardrooms is gonna make us all freer sort of thing, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Yep.
Or just having a woman president in and of itself is
but even like I have more sympathy for the boardrooms and the president thing, even though ultimately it's not that different. But there's something about the military specifically that I'm just like, why are we excited that you're going to be killing people? Like, why is that the kind of like what has traditionally been in like a very hyper masculine trope? Like, why is it there just shouldn't be a thing that anyone aspires to?
Yeah, because I mean that's like this whole new liberal form of feminism is
we want to see anywhere
women can do all the bad things that men have historically
absolutely
done, right?
Yeah,
like, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start reading from the piece here. It introduces someone. Captain Emmett Bussey, I don't know, gets a chance to sleep. She does so with her boots on and in a shared tent in an improvised Israeli military post in northern Gaza. There, she commands a company of 83 soldiers, nearly half of them men. It is one of several mixed-gender units fighting in Gaza, where female combat soldiers and officers are serving on the front lines for the first time since the war surrounding the establishment of Israel in 1948. Captain Bussey is responsible not just for the lives of her subordinates, but also for the wounded soldiers they help evacuate on the battlefield. I'm going to skip a little bit farther down. It can be easy to forget Captain Bussey is only 23, which brings me to my first point of this piece. You have here a 23-year-old captain, which is a pretty senior rank in the military that in other militaries takes years, maybe even decades to achieve. And here you have a 23-year-old captain. And something this piece does not mention is the like rampant rank inflation in the IDF. And I can't tell you exactly what that is, what's the cause there, but it is a thing. They're just sending out like teenagers and young people to go on the front lines, and they obviously don't know how to act. They're like very inexperienced, and so they panic. And here you have a 23-year-old captain, which they kind of hold up as something as like, oh, this is great, isn't it? Like, she's really breaking barriers. And if you just take a second to think about it, you're like, no, a 23-year-old captain is like stupid as hell. Like, that's like a really
very young.
To be in charge of 83 people. I wouldn't have thought of that,
but that's a really good point. Yeah.
I couldn't have been in charge of 83 people at a
like
fucking
at a company,
at a company when I was 23.
It's true.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that is weird. So kind of jumping down quite a bit. We've got here, since Israeli ground forces entered Gaza in late October, women have been there fighting. Their inclusion has helped bolster the image of the army domestically. I mean, maybe that's true within Israel. I don't know, but it's certainly not making anyone who is being, brutalized by this army feel indifferently about them. This reminds me of like, there was like a cartoon that I'm blanking on that was popular during the Obama era with all the drone strikes, but just like, yeah, like if a woman sends
someone sent it to me the other day.
Really?
It was they're dropping, it's like maybe they tell me the next one will be sent by a woman.
Exactly. I don't remember who like drew it, but exactly. It just like, yeah, like, I mean, if you get bombed and if you're being ethnically cleansed by women, it doesn't really make a fucking difference, like it just, yeah. But I mean, maybe it's helped within Israel. I guess that's possible. And then here, really, really quick gloss, one sentence. Over.
Yeah, this is the only time they mention like horrible shit. Okay. This is insane. Yeah, maybe take it a sentence back and then like lead into it just to...
Yeah. Their inclusion has helped bolster the image of the army domestically after the intelligence and military failures of October 7th and amid global scrutiny of the campaign's high civilian death toll. More than 24,000 Palestinians, many of them women and children, have been killed since the start of the war, according to Gaza health officials. And then right after that, the integration of women into the military's combat units have been the subject of lengthy debate in Israel. Like literally only a sentence about 24,000 people that have been murdered.
Everyone who has been killed is just kind of like a secondary,
like a footnote almost.
Object in these women's lives and like efforts to integrate the Israeli military.
And also just like the number of women and children have been killed. Like those women don't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whose women like matter?
I mean, clearly not to the New York Times. I also want to say something because now people have been sticking around the 30,000 death toll. We're at a point where it's impossible. Like, even the Gaza Ministry of Health, like, they're vastly underreporting it. Yeah. Like, I'm sure of it at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
The death toll is like way higher.
Yeah, and apparently that's actually very common for like mass killings like this. That unfortunately you will never know the real number, and it's likely higher.
It's going to be years until you get somewhat anywhere near an accurate.
Yeah, and even then, it probably won't be as accurate as we would hope. Yeah, no. But until we get like higher figures, it probably will be years.
It's way higher than 27,000 at this point. Okay. Now that debate is...
I also found funny in this next paragraph. So they're talking about how basically like conservative rabbis were worried about integrating like forces, but now because of the moment it's just happening and people are accepting it. And there's this like term here like secularists and critics of the country's traditionally macho culture. Okay. I will say tradition is like a tricky word within religious studies. It's a relative term. It's also just it's interesting how the Times will like up front in the beginning of the piece be like since 1948 and then also refer to Israel as if it's existed for like just centuries. You know what I mean? Like the traditional culture, like y'all are like forming it as you go. We all are to an extent. Like traditions are recreated and created. They're not static, but I don't know. I just found something sort of interesting about that, as if it's like
that's a good point.
Been such a long debate. Like it hasn't been that long of a debate. It hasn't been that long of a state, relatively speaking. But yeah, I don't know.
It's true.
I mean, that's true of many states, not just Israel, but I mean, Pakistan, 1947, but yeah.
No, but that is like I feel like that is a thing of specifically like of Israel that tries to like say, use terms like that and paint that effect that there have been traditions and things like, to add indigeneity to a nation state that is not indigenous to the land,
completely what you're saying. But I think also like it's something I've just gotten more sensitive to in terms of like, and I don't mean to be critical of journalism because obviously a lot of journalists do an amazing job, but like the lack of historical contextualization for things, you know what I mean? And it can lead to like a lot of slip of the tongues, like this is an ancient conflict or like since time immemorial, even with things that are not like related to this conflict. Like I've heard people a lot. I actually really appreciated someone in my department the other day said something and they were like, well, I've been alive longer than Iran. I was like, damn, that's true. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, Iran has always been blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what, since 1979? Like you kind of, it's really important to like historically contextualize things. Yeah.
One thing that I learned through you and kind of an example I reposted the other day is, there's like the Pools of Solomon, like a caravanserai that is in Bethlehem, that Israeli funded archaeologists have been trying to tie it back to this verse in Ecclesiastes to say like, oh, it's referring to these things that were built like thousands of years ago, but there's like no evidence for that whatsoever. And so they're doing kind of this like historical archaeological revisionism to give this nation state that existed only like a couple decades ago, this like claim to the land, or like to try to build that claim.
Yeah, archaeology is super sketchy in Israel. They basically most archaeological sites in Israel won't keep record of things, or don't care about things that aren't from a period that's confirming like a biblical narrative in their view.
Okay, let's see, where should we skip down to?
We've got just stuff here about, the attack on October 7th.
I want to skip down to here, actually. Israeli women were thrust into combat almost immediately on October 7th. 2 all-female tank crews, once the butt of sexist jokes, hurtled through the desert that morning to help repel waves of armed infiltrators from Gaza. The female commander of a Carousel, I don't know what that is, a mixed gender infantry battalion, led a 12-hour battle along the Gaza border with 2 companies equipped with light anti-tank weapons and machine guns. Together with the tanks, they helped block Hamas's advance, saving several communities from attack. Okay. I'm going to play some clips shortly. Because, again, this is something that the New York Times failed to mention, but the Israeli news media actually did already try to do this puff piece where they interviewed young tank infantry women who were part of the firefights on October 7th. And their goal was to say, again, just like this piece was to say, look at these young women fighting for the country, being on the front lines, et cetera, et cetera. And it's supposed to be like a real girl boss moment. But what came across and what everyone picked up on is, again, rank inflation, and Israel is sending children out to war who are inexperienced. And what we know now is that in those firefights at the kibbutzes and in certain areas on the border, the IDF actually killed a lot of Israelis, right? So people still say like 1,200 people, but it's been revised down to about 800 deaths, and still about 40% of those at least were IDF.
Okay.
And there's a lot of evidence of that they were killed by tank fire. And even in Haaretz, there is a piece from January 6th about families who now they're seeing evidence that their family members were killed by IDF tank fire. They're pushing for investigation into those deaths, and Israel is trying to block that. Of
course, yeah.
But I'll play that, and I'll play these clips, and they're from different kibbutz, but it's young women, and they're asking them, they're like, what was it like? And one of them actually says oh, we didn't know how to operate a tank when this started, but 10 minutes later, we became experts. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It is important to say that none of us knew how to use it. It's a system that no one knew how to use. It's a qualification you have to pass in the army. None of us knew. In about 10 minutes, we all became experts. We knew exactly how to operate it, how to shoot it, how to maneuver every lever.
And then another one is saying, she was a commander of her unit. She's I told them to fire on, it doesn't matter what it is, just fire on this thing.
Yeah.
Ensuring the destruction of everything around. And if we thought that 50 terrorists was supposedly the end, it was only the beginning. We understood that there are apparently hostages there, terrorists inside the kibbutz. I leave the platoon commander's tank there, and I tell her, no matter what comes from that route, you open fire. You have permission. If in doubt, of course check. But no matter what comes from the north to the south, you fire. And movement begins with the brigade commander. The driver actually identified 2 terrorists and reported to me that she recognizes 2 terrorists. And I told her, just run them over. She ran over them and moved on.
And then later she's talking about how they were, they had spotted some terrorists and they were in a firefight, and they said that they had hostages inside this building. And she was like, oh, I didn't want to fire on it, or she didn't want to shell it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead she just fired machine gun rounds from the tank into the front door.
Said, look, there's a shell there, there's terrorists there. I asked him, are there civilians there? He said, I don't know, fire a shell there. I decide not to shoot a shell there. We're talking about an Israeli community. I fired machine guns into the entrance of the house.
The tank fired both machine guns and shells, even within the community. Basically a very complex fight. The terrorists did not fight the tank. They fought, and when the tank came, they either ran or they died.
And it turns out like that was one of the places where, again, people were killed by tank rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is not mentioned here at all. Like the New York Times does not approach any of this with any sort of like critical lens, does not question the rank inflation, the fact that 23-year-olds are out here just giving commands on how to handle like a very volatile
mention that
situation.
like in addition to the IDF initially killing their own people in their confusion, has in more recent months also killed some of their own hostages. Yeah, and it's like the families don't give a shit like if their family members were killed by like a girl boss, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just is there anything else that you wanted to pull out? They mention, where are you gonna play the clips?
I'm gonna put those in after.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, they mentioned Golda Meir here, actually, who's another figure. There was a movie about Golda Meir recently with Helen Mirren in it, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I'm sure it's awful.
Let's see.
There's another person who they talk about here who is a 34-year-old lieutenant colonel, which again is like a very senior rank. You're just like, I don't know what age a lieutenant colonel is here in the U.S., but I'm guessing you probably reach that like maybe in your late 40s or sometime in your 50s if you ever get that high.
I'll just jump down quite a bit to this because they really try and like paint this like beautiful picture of this thing that is so horrific.
Yeah.
After sunset one recent weekday, a reporter and a photographer for the New York Times rode into northern Gaza with Captain Boussi and her comrades, stirring up dust clouds in a dark wasteland lit only by an almost full moon. Like, motherfuckers, a dark wasteland is like a place that has been shelled.
Mm-hmm.
And also like the almost full moon, it's just weird and creepy. Like, I don't know who gets paid to glamorize war in this way. And buildings along the route parallel to the Mediterranean shore were flattened into layers of concrete. We saw no people, only a few dogs. Just like, no care at all for the people that like were there.
Yeah.
The Times accepted a military transport to secure rare access to wartime Gaza, which is typically off limits to journalists. There are plenty of Palestinian journalists on the ground. I mean, a lot of them have been targeted and killed, and some have been killed not because of targets, but some there's pretty good evidence have been like directly targeted, which is horrific and such a war crime.
Mm-hmm.
But there are like Palestinian journalists who are covering this. Just more about her life. She wears her hair in a braid. Like, you can't really make this shit up in terms of like the descriptions are really nuts.
Yeah. It says farther down here, the war has claimed the lives of about 200 Israeli soldiers and thousands of Palestinians, most of them civilians.
Yeah.
Again,
a footnote.
Not at all even trying here.
And we'll just read the last couple paragraphs here. Captain Boosie said the military does everything to try to avoid civilian casualties. All right. And lamented the destruction of so many homes. But it was Hamas, she said, that turned Gaza into a war zone. The front line in Gaza is never more than a few hours' drive from soldiers' homes, a reminder of just how close the war is. And it just ends with her saying that she hopes that because we are here means that 20 years from now, my children won't have to be. Yeah, that's it. I clicked on the title of this writer, Isabel Kirchner.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
She's a correspondent in Jerusalem. It looks like she's just putting a lot of stuff about kind of pro-Israeli stuff.
Yeah, so her husband,
oh no,
she's been accused of a lot of conflict of interest. As her son, and her son serves in the IDF.
Okay. Wow, that is crazy, man. Think about all of
They
the
don't
Arab
talk about
journalists
that in the
who have
fucking
not been able
story.
to like. I think we've mentioned it before, but who's that? Mona Chalabi has a great podcast out with who again?
It's on long form.
On long form, about talking about like the bias and like how she hasn't been able to do reporting and she's been accused of bias.
Anytime
and like
they ask you if you were affiliated with like some student group back in
100%,
college, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, you can't report on this because you have a conflict of interest,
Yeah.
and you can't be."
your
a
third
partial
cousin is
writer."
an SJP, but this woman's son is in the IDF. That's insane.
Her son's in the IDF.
Holy
and her
shit.
husband is an employee of the Institute for National Security Studies, which is involved in promoting a positive image of Israel, and who Kirchner often relies on as a source.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I can't get over
Isn't
her.
that fucking crazy?
That is crazy, but honestly, I think it's even crazier that her son is a literal IDF soldier. Like, how could you possibly not have a conflict of interest?
Yeah. I mean, she's clearly conflicted. Like, all the shit she puts out is just Israeli propaganda in the New York Times.
Objectivism is not real, y'all. Like, everyone should have to disclose. The only people who have to pretend to be objective are people of color. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's insane. Damn.
Anyway.
In conclusion,
Times,
don't
dude.
be... I still read the Times. I think it's important to read it critically, but
I would
they are
say
so
at this
culpable.
point,
They're
read the New York
awful.
Times with the same like lens of criticality that you would Haaretz, that you would
Absolutely.
Al Jazeera. Like, people just...
Oh, I trust Al Jazeera way more than the Times.
I do too, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
people look
Especially on
at Times
this.
as like the pinnacle of journalism.
Yeah.
And there are no doubt good journalists working there. But as an institution, it should not be more trusted than...
Oh, for sure.
Like, a lot
I would
of other
say, if
state-run
anything,
medias.
like, I really... Like, today I read a really great article in the Times about... like right-wing conservative groups that have put up like a really comprehensive campaign in the name of waging against DEI to basically get less people of color out of like the higher ed. Like, read the Times for some domestic coverage on issues like education, anything having to do with war and foreign policy. I would read the Times like, and just like use your highest critical thinking skills possible. And like, I just know that it's honestly just intense propaganda and it's depressing, but it's true. Yeah.
Propaganda is in the New York Times too, folks. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, even like, I would say NPR, I only listen to like the daily, whatever NPR, like news roundup in the mornings. It's been better, relatively speaking, but even then they're just like a kind of delusional, self-centered American perspective that sometimes is depressing. Like, today they had a roundup, which was about like the state of democracy abroad. And they were just like, what does it mean? Like, will people continue to look at like the US as a beacon of democracy if we re-elect Trump? And it's just like, most countries are not looking to us to see how to be a country. Like, that's not a real thing. Like, where do you, like, what? And it's like, will they trust us? Will they hate us? And it's like, they're more likely to hate you because like you're funding a genocide. Like, I just don't understand this perspective. It's so myopic and delusional. I mean, it is kind of crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoy a lot of the NPR's reporting, to be clear. I just, that particular thing. And I was like, that's kind of nuts. Yeah. There's a real intentional lack of a global perspective, and the only kind of internationalism is like through the lens of American imperial interest. Yeah.
Well, okay.
There are great individual journalists everywhere, though. I would say that, obviously. Just read widely, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Is there anything else to mention here?
No, that's it. Crazy article. Boss girls who fund to
kill.
enable genocide are terrible. Yeah. The end.
All right. Bye.